I do want to ask one before we move on. I want to ask about a prediction real quick. I'd love to hear what you think, Element, on this. I've said this for a while now, but I feel like the tone of the Mandalorian as a whole, the Mando-verse they're building out, they're kind of redefining right now what is a Mandalorian. And I think you're going to have these misfit Mandalorians like Bo-Katan, who's the failure, Din Djarin, who's this religious zealot, Boba Fett, who's not even really a
He
Mandalorian.
doesn't
And some
even
people,
claim to be a
he doesn't
Mandalorian.
even
Yeah.
claim to be one. But right now he's kind of like, well, I'm not cut out for being this sheriff thing or this, being a mayor. So I guess what do I do next? I feel like you're going to take this group of misfits, redefine what really is a Mandalorian. And again, Boba's dad fought in those civil wars. So there's something there. There's got to be something there
Mm-hmm.
where he'd have some sort of pride behind it. But most people have kind of given up to this point. Heck, Bo-Katan didn't even ever go back to test the air
Yeah, she was just like,
all this
Yeah.
time. So I think we're going to lead back to all of them going back to like restore Mandalore and who's going to oppose them. But I think they're going to take this Thanos approach and introduce him way later, like in the Ahsoka series, but have Thrawn be the big baddie where he too would like to go back to Mandalore, as we saw in Rebels where they wanted Beskar armor. But I think now with their really actively working to build the First Order right now, imagine them saying, okay, let's try this again. The First Order is already building on the outer rim, which Mandalore is on. So go back there. No one really knows about it. No one's checking out Mandalore at all. The mines have been revisited. Go get Beskar armor. Give it to the new stormtroopers of the First Order. That's the mission, the battle for Mandalore. And I think maybe the
ooh,
ultimate demise of Thrawn is what's waiting at the end of it. So
ooh.
that's
It's
that's
interesting.
if it doesn't happen that way, I'm putting this out in the universe because Jon Favreau, y'all. I mean, that's beautiful.
You think he's gonna
He's
start
listening. He's
rewriting?
watching.
Mandalorians, assemble! Bum bum
I
bum
think.
bum.
I think. I think it's very likely something like that will happen because the fangs or the gauntlets are in the Battle of Exegol, and so they have to have had some sort of involvement with the New Republic in a way there, but where they would answer the call, back then. So I don't know. I don't know what will happen. But that sounds very, very likely because I do believe that narratively there is a direction where they do have to unite. They have to put aside their differences. Um, and whether that comes out of like a duel between the armor, Bo-Katan, Paz, and Din, I think the outcome of that is more likely to be them united and a new kind of Mandalore. I mean, we already went through a new Mandalorian with Satine, which I have to
Mhm.
say, you got to be real pieces of work to come so close to saying Satine without saying Satine like 500 times.
Yeah.
We
No,
got the
not a single
father.
mention.
We
Yeah.
didn't get Satine.
Ugh.
Yeah, I she's coming
Okay,
this
but
season.
Element,
She's got to be coming.
I do want your opinion on, in the first episode we see another sort of baptism happening that the armor is doing for like a new youngling. And I just wanted maybe your thoughts on where are they still recruiting people from? It felt like we left off season 2 with like a lot of the Mandalorian are gone and there's like
Yeah,
a lot more are dead, and now all of a sudden there's like a big clan that the armor has around, and they all have very different colors on, so it seems like they're coming from
Mm,
different places. Where How are they recruiting people?
that's a good question. I think they have a lot of subscribers to the faith from every house and every clan. And I think they're all doing kind of their own proselytizing across the galaxy. And to be fair, this is at a time where the Republic is rebuilding and you've still got many parts of the galaxy suffering from the aftermath of the Civil War. Um and still suffering from the aftermath of just the Empire. So even with um Din's world being attacked by separatists, you would have worlds that were attacked by the Empire and continue to be attacked by the remnants after the war is over. So I think there's still a lot of people who, were orphaned or, left just to fend for themselves. And there's a lot of people to be found. And so if you have a whole bunch of Mandalorian clans just kind of disparate and out there in the galaxy looking around, they'll find some people and then they'll get their foundlings.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so. And speaking to that too, talking about foundlings and Concordia, we got
Yeah.
Concordia live action
From
to a
afar.
degree from afar.
From
He
We
didn't,
afar.
got to see it.
doesn't fit the bingo card. He didn't visit it, but he saw it, but it explained a lot. I mean, about his backstory, knowing he's from there, it kind of helps make sense. Like, okay, so what was it, Death Watch or whatever? Like, it makes sense why they were fighting separatists there, because obviously they aligned with Dooku until Dooku kind of broke ties with them, and so this battle presumably taking place after those events. And so it's just interesting to see, like, okay, there's to kind of lump him into a certain place in Star Wars history. It's cool. It's cool. It adds a lot more to him, I feel like.
And to
Yeah.
get back
Yeah.
to like the whole foundlings subject of like the armor and her clan of, I kind of see them as, sure, maybe recruiting, but also in Din's case, rescuing some people. Like, it's easy for us to kind of like start painting people in like corners of like, oh, these are the extreme people that are bad, and Bo-Katan's more of like the, kind of like broken away but free spirit of this, and Din is like pegged in this corner, and they do have their factions. But I think we can point out certain goods in each one of the factions, and like, because we're all kind of gearing at or trying to unite them. And
Yeah.
it's like, you want to unite, the good in the people. And I kind of like see that as maybe they rescued that foundling.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but who knows? But yeah, it's like, if you're trying to unite people, we're trying to rally behind a cause or a shared value, and that being the community of Mandalore. And so it is interesting to explore, but I think that's what makes the Mandalorian, like, as a wholesome, great show, just rallying behind that theme of like, and what George Lucas kind of brought with Star Wars too, is like religion, and like getting to exploring these different beliefs and
yeah.
values of people, but identifying the shared values. So like
Mhm.
what really matters, So I think when you can tap into that, that's pretty awesome.
I gotta say, with this episode had a lot. This is one of the first times we've ever gone this far into our review, and we've not once. We're actually overtime now, and for this part of the show, we haven't talked about our rating at all.
Yeah.
There's
The
so
numbers.
much.
What are the numbers?
What are the numbers? Okay, so real quick, Amanda gave it a 76%. Ouch.
Come on, man. It's a
You-
good,
of course,
solid
And it's still
score.
passing.
So
That's a
yeah,
solid
barely
score.
passing, but you got there. 78% for Christian, and an 88.8% from myself. So
Well, what's the lowest scoring category?
the lowest scoring category is, it looks like it's the music.
The music.
Yeah,
And I think that's where, nothing terrible about
followed
the
by
music,
the story.
but it wasn't relying on the music here. The music served its purpose, and it kind of like hid in the background, because there are a lot of quiet
Yeah, totally.
moments, and like it's suspenseful and whatnot.
And that's what helped it with our
Yeah.
lack of music and so
yeah,
many-
and it helped in that way. So we're kind of saying the lack of music helped this episode. Turn right to go
And-
Makes
left.
sense.
And the immersive universe scored the highest,
Well, yeah,
as you
yeah.
would expect.
Very high.
Yep.
I mean, you had a dang mythosaur.
And for new listeners, we do break down the story, the characters, technical aspects, music, and immersive universe, each one getting 1 to 5 points, 1 to 5 stars, comprising with our, everything can get a total of, 100 points or 100 stars. So yes, it's totaled out to 80.93%. I feel like,
Cumulative, yes.
I feel like that's a solid.
Yeah.
High scoring for any like individual episode, for any serialized
To
episode.
break
That's-
80, that's a
that's-
big deal.
That's a special thing here at Duel of the Ranks. And the words of K2SO, that's high. Very high.
Yeah.
Got
It's
a
like we
good
don't-
feeling about Duel of the Ranks? Then punch it down below to subscribe so that you never miss our latest ranks and hot takes from a galaxy far, far away. This is the way to some of the best Star Wars content out there. So, Do or do not. There is no trap. But do yourself a favor and
Do it.